UBS, a big global bank, they did a wealth report and it found that 1 in 10 Australians have become millionaires. And the big driver behind that is assets, i.e. property. I've got Damien, I call him my right hand, Damien Walker from my team. The RBA has just announced their most recent rate cut.
Correct.
Awesome news for people that have mortgages. It's even better news for people trying to get into the market. Not only does this bump up your borrowing capacity, but it also is just in time for spring selling season, which I think is fantastic timing as well. I've got a number of questions. I'm going to get straight into it, if that's all right.
We've got Sarah in Queensland. Even if I pay my credit card in full each month, banks still take this as a liability and reduces my borrowing capacity.
Yeah.
Why is that?
The bank doesn't care about your ability to make repayments or be on time with your credit cards. In fact, that's expected. We're buying our first home and want to know how much should we keep in savings as a buffer?
It's really going to depend on you and your household and your risk tolerance as well.
25% of all self-employed people said it was impossible to get a loan. And I was like, rubbish. Because there's very few self-employed people that you and I would come across that were like, we couldn't find an outcome or a solution for them.
You've got more solutions.
Also,
it's fantastic if you're self-employed.
It's an unfair advantage. And if someone is telling you it's hard because you're self-employed, hang up and give us a call. G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Australian Property Investment Podcast. I am pumped, big day. I've got Damien, I call him my right hand, your literal right hand, Damien Walker from my team, coming in the studio. We are going to unpack quite a few questions from listeners in today's episode, so we're in for a real treat. But before we do kick off, today's Wednesday, it's Tuesday. And we've got some big news which has just come through.
Correct.
And it's not the announcement of Taylor Swift's 12th studio album that's coming out.
14th, I think. Is it 14th? 12th?
I don't know, 12th. We're big, big Taylor but the RBA has just announced their most recent rate cut.
Correct.
Awesome news for people that have mortgages. It's even better news for people trying to get into the market. Not only does this bump up your borrowing capacity, but it also is just in time for spring selling season, which I think is fantastic timing as well. I'm going to talk through a little bit about what the RBA is saying. But I think you're furiously going through your computer here before about tabs open at the moment.
Yeah.
We've had the RBA rate cut, and the first bank to already announce their cuts effective Friday is Macquarie Bank.
Correct, yeah. So 0.25% from the cash rate. Macquarie has passed on the full rate cut. So that will pretty much signal that most banks will pass it on, which is fantastic in full. Macquarie is as of Friday.
That's awesome. I love what they do to keep the big four honest.
Yep,
and
definitely.
We don't take any pot shots at banks, for example. But for us, when Macquarie Bank, who now form the big five, the fifth out of the big five lenders, when they move out so quick and so fast when it's going to take effect, it's a major move to the market. I've got to tip my hat to Macquarie Bank.
Implementation, most banks are at 2 to 3 weeks to put it into place.
Yeah, so what that means is the RBA will announce their rate cut. The banks will then say, look, this is our move. Ideally, it's 0.25% as well, but that rate will then take effect in 2 weeks' time. Macquarie Bank is coming out saying our rate cut will take effect from Friday.
3 days. Fantastic. I love it.
Bring it on. Bring it on. We love the competition. There's obviously a big ethos of what we do as mortgage brokers is to make sure there's a level playing field and endorse competition. So yeah, bring on lenders that are actually willing to move early, cut fast, do the right thing for their customers.
Definitely.
Beautiful, mate. We've got a number of questions. I'm going to get straight into it, if that's all right. And this is a question for you, Damien.
I'm ready.
Question from Shane and Neela in Victoria. Love you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. I've seen the AMP product that's interest only for 10 years. Why aren't we going for this loan is what they're asking. I shot back a quick text saying, look, we'll talk about this in the podcast. But in a nutshell, it's got to do with borrowing capacity. Correct. You will help give a much more detailed and technical answer to that.
Definitely. So the 10-year interest only product is good for certain investors. For most of our investors at the start of their journey or in the acquisition phase, it has a negative impact on your borrowing. So with any interest-only period, the bank is assessing you on the remaining P&I loan term, the principal and interest term.
So let's talk about this in plain English.
Definitely.
Right? So if you're a newer investor, even sometimes we have experienced investors that still can't get their head around this.
Yep.
So a bank, when we apply for a loan, it's a 30-year loan term. When we make the loan term 5 years.
The interest-only term, yep.
Then you're assessed to then pay you make the principal interest repayments over 25 years.
Correct.
Which inadvertently reduces your borrowing capacity because now you've got to service a loan over 25 years, not 30 years.
Correct. Yeah. So you will have, and this is why it's hard to grasp, because the repayments are less because it's interest only, but the bank doesn't care about that period of time. They're saying when it reverts to P&I, we want to make sure you can pay it off.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to assess you on. So with a 10-year interest only period, you're now being assessed on a 20-year P&I term, which has a negative impact, and even a greater negative impact on your borrowing power. So for our new investors, or they're in the acquisition phase, it's not worth it. If you've got the borrowing, get the 5-year interest only. And
we don't even do, a lot of my investors, I'm doing maybe 3 years interest only because we're buying a high growth property. We want to get it revalued. We want to take the equity out, and we're going to switch banks anyway between, I don't know,
2 to 3 year, 1 to 3 year. Yeah.
Right? At some point, we're going to do an equity strip. So from our perspective, yes, it's a great product feature, and I applaud AMP, and even CBA offers a 15-year interest-only loan term as well. I applaud them for being investor-friendly from one part, but it doesn't actually give you much advantage from a borrowing capacity perspective.
From borrowing, no. I think it holds, like, for example, if you are about to retire and you're holding an investment asset that's got a mortgage still, and you think in 10 years' time, this thing's hurting me, it has a terrible yield, but it might double in 10 years, set the 10-year interest only term. It's not going to impact your borrowing, into the future, because you're not really borrowing.
Yeah, and you've got no intentions to strip equity and then go again.
Correct. It's more of a set and forget product. So it definitely serves, it has a place, but yeah, for our newer investors, it has more damage on your borrowing, and borrowing is what we're trying to preserve most of the time.
Correct. So we're talking about different waves in people's journeys. So when you're starting out, we're going, heavy acquisition phase. So the question generally is, how many can I buy? How quickly can I buy? How fast can this start to happen for me? So that's generally the start of the journey. So from acquisition phase, you'll then probably go into a consolidation phase, which is now I'm going to hold. You may be capped out, for example, borrowing capacity. You capped out because you're redlining around cash flow.
Yep.
Or life just happens where it's like, hey man, we're having kids, or we bought our own home. That's our focus, and we're not going to be investing for a bit. So we'll sit on the sidelines. Then you come back into a phase. Generally, it's two parts. There's either another acquisition phase where people are coming back in. Now they've got the borrowing capacity back, maybe one partner's back at work, kids are settled down, or it's like, hey man, we've got a pay increase, now we're ready to go again. So we're going to move back into an acquisition phase as well. Or there's a bit of a pay down and consolidation phase, which is going to pay down some properties, sell off some properties, pay down some debt, free myself up, and go back into an acquisition phase, or might move into a different asset class such as commercial as well.
Yep, definitely. Yep.
So again, it's understanding where you are in the journey that's going to dictate the type of loan, as opposed to, I want to go for this loan and then try and retrofit my portfolio on it.
Exactly right. Set the goals and be open with your goals, and dream big.
I love it.
Dream big, so then we can work towards those bigger dreams.
So when you say dream big, it's literally on the way here. Took a client call. Guys my age, 42, strong incomes, really strong incomes. I'm talking probably about 450K plus income household, three properties plus the owner makes it 4 properties. He's like, look, I want to go again, but I don't want to push too hard. And I just have to press a little bit on that.
I think I heard the end of that call.
Like a massage therapist, I'll push on that little pain point and go, but tell me why you don't want to push this hard. You're 42, you got strong incomes, you got good 15 years worth of work left in you. I said, when you looked at those 3 properties that you bought, don't you almost wish that you bought double,
3 more?
2, because you have 1 in Adelaide, which has gone gangbusters. I said, what if you bought 2 in Adelaide? It'd be a different conversation right now. He's like, yeah. I got to tell you, most investors that I speak to, one of the biggest regrets that they will have is that they didn't buy more of it when they had the opportunity to.
Yep, definitely.
Because you go forward in 10 years' time, now this guy's going to go, hey man, I'm 52. I want to wind down work. I don't have these giant mortgages, for example. He's trying to get out of work. So if you're at 42, you're at 32, and you're going, right, if I've got time on my side, the market, 1, can be forgiving, but 2, there's so much missed opportunity that comes with not taking the shot when you have the chance to as well. Yeah. So again, if you're listening regularly, you always hear me say, it's like, why are you leaving opportunity on the table? Why are you not pushing yourself a little bit? Because your future self will kick you for not taking more opportunities or more risks when maybe you have the ability and the means to as well. Yeah. So I hope that helps. Shane, I hope that answers, Neil, I hope that answers your question. It may take a whiteboard session for us to actually go through these numbers, which the podcast formula isn't a great format to go through numbers. So we might actually do a whiteboard video at some point and share that too, if that's something that's an itch you want to scratch. Cool. Over to you.
Okay, cool. So we've got Sarah in Queensland. The question is, you've mentioned that even if I pay my credit card in full each month, banks still take this as a liability and reduces my borrowing capacity.
Yeah.
Why is that?
The bank doesn't care about your ability to make repayments or be on time with your credit cards. In fact, that's expected.
Yeah.
The bank expects you to pay your credit cards on time. Not because it's great for interest, but that's just how most people do it. And they will say, if you're applying for a loan, you can go and max out that credit card tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you've got a $25,000 credit card limit, what are we, almost 5 times? That's $125K reduction in your borrowing capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are cheering over a 0.25% rate cut that increases people's borrowing capacity. And I'm like, you already have extra borrowing capacity sitting on the table. And just because you're trying to claim some points, you're willing to overlook that to eke out more borrowing capacity. Here you are hanging out for a rate cut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't understand the psychology behind this. And I don't want to get on my high horse or my soapbox around credit cards, but I've got to call it out. Every time we have investors or every time we have aspiring home buyers that want to eke out more borrowing capacity but don't want to give up a credit card, I've got to question the intent on how badly you want it.
Definitely. Look, in 0.25% rate cut, roughly you get about a 30K increase to your borrowing power.
Yep.
That's just closing a 6K credit card limit.
Yeah.
6 times 5 is 30. So
yep.
I hear you. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, you've literally got rate cuts that right here, right now, in your control, not waiting every second month for the RBA.
Yeah.
You can do it right here, right now. And there's other things that also, we talk about a lot. Car leases, right?
Yep.
That's a big one. If you've got one, so be it. If you're thinking of getting one, think about how it's going to impact your borrowing before you do.
Because the notion with the car lease is I'm going to salary sacrifice, which is a pre-tax contribution,
mm-hmm.
get myself a new car. So let me break this down. Look at the car that you're going to buy and then work out as a percentage relative to your annual salary, how much are you spending? Because I'll get people that are on 70, 80K that are going and buying $50,000, $60,000 motor vehicles.
Yeah.
Let me just understand that. You've spent nearly a year's salary equivalent to what you want. That's gross at 70K, 80K. Mm-hmm. And then you'll finance this vehicle that in 5 years' time isn't worth maybe
20,
30, 40% of what you bought it for. So you've financed the depreciating liability, and we are always trying to get clients to buy income-producing assets. And that's why I take a pretty hard line approach with my clients. I do not do car finance. I do not do it. Anyone can come into my business. I probably referred one car loan out. That was probably someone self-employed because they could. They had massive incomes. They had the money. They just chose to finance because they could deploy the cash somewhere else in their business. Most brokers will happily finance motor vehicles because the comms on those things are pretty good.
Yeah, and they're quick to pay too.
Quick to pay.
Yeah.
Walk into a dealership, walk out with a brand new car, no questions asked, 2 years ABN, sub 150K. Now you'll get it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
You'll pick up the vehicle tomorrow. That's how easy car finance is. And that's great. I'm happy for you if you can drive a brand new car. But when we are and if you're listening and you're in the business for trying to build your wealth, a car that's financed will destroy that.
Definitely.
And so
massive impact on borrowing.
And we're talking about always with clients, they'll balk over a rate that's 0.5% higher. I'm like, mate, what are you talking about? You're financing a vehicle, you got credit cards, you got HECS, you got other loans here. We've got to get real and start to put some wealth building psychology into perspective because no one is calling it out. No one is calling it out. And I can only have any conversations one-to-one where I'm like, I can only deal with clients one-on-one where I'm like, this is how we move the needle. But this is my opportunity to get in front of as many people into your ears and go, if this hits a bit of a nerve, that's a good thing. It means that it's striking a chord with you and questioning, is this the right way that you go about building wealth?
Yep, definitely. We've got another question from Jasmine in Sydney.
Yep.
Hey, Aaron, I'm Rentvesting and ready to get started to buy my first investment property. I have a great deposit of $135K and I earn $120,000. Been saving my butt off.
Awesome.
How do I choose a buyer's agent? I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with the choices. What do you think? What's your advice, Aaron?
I've got plenty. I think first of all, kudos to Jasmine, which got 120K and has been saving 135K.
Massive.
That's incredible. First of all, give yourself a pat on the back.
Definitely.
Say, well done to you. The next part is you want to be very choosy about the team that you're building. So if I look at a buyer's agent, what do I want? I want runs on the board, so I want experience, and I want expertise.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at those two as my main filter. Are you then looking for a buyer's agent that has been there, done that, that's going to help you? So I think that's one part of the equation, which is, hey, I've got someone that's actually that can walk the walk, talk the talk, that has been in my shoes. I think there's some incredible buyer's agents that live and breathe it, that have a high performance portfolio that can get people started. Okay. When I speak to a number of clients and I ask who their buyer's agent is, there's probably a few usual suspects that I'd say these are the red flags. They're buying or they're taking on a brief without a pre-approval.
Okay.
Major red flag.
And why?
Commission breath.
Okay.
It's commission breath because the client isn't pre-approved, and you and I know it. There's so many maybe slip ups, or there's so many changes or variations between what we think sometimes versus what a bank is versus the pre-approval. We even do some areas. Some buyers agents will buy in particular locations, and there could be postcode restrictions. Mm-hmm. We did one where they weren't going to go over 80%. Now, this is a great asset, but we were going to 90% because the client didn't have the deposit to be at 80%. That's not the reason to not invest in the area. It's just the bank has got postcode restrictions around that particular area. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that's cool. We had a pre-approval and we could pick up and we can move lenders. That gave a lot of confidence. There are buyers agents that we have literally worked with that show very little respect for the process and the client experience because they're buying without pre-approvals. Yeah. And at that point, I have to, I bite my tongue because you and we're both trying to be more stoic these days. So I bite my tongue, but it's an observation that I've got, which is I'm like, that's not good enough.
It's not good enough. And I mean, what's a good buyer's agent? They've got good relationships with agents, right?
Yeah.
So that agent knows, hey, if I send the deal to this BA, they're going to get the deal done because their client's ready to buy.
Yes.
If they don't have a pre-approval and an agent goes, here's a deal, and it's like, oh, sorry, we flop finance, they're losing that trust straight away.
Correct. And it means that we're not doing enough in the area or doing enough relationships to go.
Correct. There's something worth losing here, potentially.
I can guarantee a deal. Reputation is big, right? Whereas the good BAs go into an area, they're like, we guarantee we're going to buy this, and it's going to, we're not going to dick around the vendor. Mm-hmm. We're not going to stuff around the agent. When we say it's a yes, for example. And that's where when you speak to me in my discovery calls and you ask me who the buyer's agents I recommend, I will tell you hands down who they are. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess we're a little bit protective of the BAs that we work with because they do deliver good outcomes and good results as well. So that's one part.
Yep.
I think buying at or below the pre-approval limit is also another form of respect. Mm-hmm. Respect for the client, but also respect for the process. And we've had big BAs that have gone well above the pre-approval amount, and we get the contract in. Like, now we've got to change everything. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense to me as well. So to me, I would shop around just like you would for a mortgage broker. I mean, what are we at? 22,000 mortgage brokers.
Yeah, 22. Yeah,
it's crazy. Plus bank lenders. There's heaps of competition. There's heaps of competition in the BA space, and we get them. They'll reach out to us all the time. And again, they want to jump on the podcast, whatever it is. I'm like, we're protective of this real estate. We're protective of the clients that we have as well, because we want clients. How many times are you going to be buying? Sometimes it's maybe 8, sometimes it's 10, sometimes less. So you're not doing this that often that there's room for error where it's just like, oh, here's a contract, go and get it done. There's got to be a process that gets followed, that a client gets a really good experience, because you and I see it. Then we're buying through trust, which means we need independent legal advice. Hey, mate, we're buying on a 4-week turnaround time. This bank only does paper documents, which means we need forms mailed out, which is historic and another process. Not for today, but I think we know it, and we can kind of see it's all well and good to get the deal done, but it's also a good deal to get a great client experience that comes with it.
Definitely. It is unfortunate that for broking and even for buyers agents, the level of the bar to like enter is so low. Do you know what I mean? Like it's like you get your Cert 4, your diploma in broking. I'm not sure what it is for BAs. You'd know what it would be.
It's a course with is it Ben Handler or something? Just a weekend course,
and suddenly you can give advice on where to buy and what assets to buy. So I always say to my clients, like, talk to as many as you possibly can. Very similar to mortgage brokers. Yeah. Talk to us. At the end of the day, we all get the same products, and BAs sort of all have the same areas that they're buying in. You know, there are hotspots. Yeah. There might be certain reasons why they buy here or there, and that's what you've got to understand from them. So speak to as many as you can and find out who you want to work with, who you gel with, whose philosophy you go, hey, I can buy into that. Yeah. I think that's a great way of putting it. And like you said, runs on the board.
Even just when people have expectations around their buyer's agent. So some don't mind if they're slightly bigger, but there's a well-oiled machine that comes with it. Mm-hmm. Whereas others, they go, no, I just want to have a one-on-one relationship with my buyer's agent. You've got to understand that's not scalable from a BA perspective. But some will run that. Some will run their businesses that way as well.
It could even be I want my BA to be boots on the ground, or I don't mind if they're just getting property managers to inspections, because that's a difference as well, right? In some markets. So it's really up to you, but talk to as many as you can. Like you said, we've got a few that we recommend to our clients. And who you resonate with, really.
I agree. Yeah, so Jasmine, I hope that helps. Like, I get excited whenever I talk to anyone. I think you and I both, everyone in the whole team, as soon as we speak to someone at the start of their journey, mate, we get excited.
It's fun.
We are at the start of your journey, and I say to them, like, you think about where we'll be. I'm going to be around for 10. I will be around for 10 years. So think about where we will be in 10 years' time and what your portfolio will look like in 10 years' time. That's amazing. But I think the other part is, on that journey, don't be afraid that you might outgrow your team. And again, as part of that call that I had earlier, this client came to me, he's outgrown his broker. The broker's like, why you want to buy more properties? That's a ridiculous question. But anyway, and he's like, I can't do more for you. And I said, mate, you absolutely can do more. Show me your numbers. And I said, I'd hate the idea if a client felt like they outgrew me, because I'm still trying to personally grow. I'm trying to develop. I'm trying to think bigger, for example. So I would hate when a client thought they outgrew us. Because we're still trying to grow, develop, evolve, keep up, push ourselves as well. That it's a conversation that I hope I don't have to have.
Well, I like to say I grow with my clients, and we've been growing with our clients from the start, like 2017 in Atelier, like 2016, whenever it was, to now. Our clients have grown. We've seen people build portfolios, scale portfolios. It's fantastic. It's so fun to be part of the journey.
Well said. Well said. All right, cool. Next question coming to you, Damien. This is coming from Stephanie in Adelaide. We're buying our first home and want to know, how much should we keep in savings as a buffer? Hey, mate, this is a solid question, Stephanie.
Yeah, g'day, Stephanie. So I deal with a lot of first-home buyers, and I always recommend having a buffer. Yep. So it's really going to depend on you and your household, and your risk tolerance as well. Generally speaking, you'd probably say somewhere between 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. And that's pretty much enough time for you to lose a job and get another job. I think that's what you're trying to bank in. Okay, what happens if, for whatever reason, we lose a source of income and, we're in between jobs? So 3 to 6 months, I think the more the better. And that's why I'm big on borrowing as much as you can. Leveraging, if you're a first-home buyer, guarantees like the first home guarantee or a parental guarantee, borrowing more, putting a bigger buffer into your offset account. You don't pay any more interest when it's in the offset, but it gives you more breathing room should anything occur.
And that, I feel, is very contrary thinking.
Yeah, borrow less. Get a lower repayment.
Yes.
And keep $5,000 in your offset.
Keep nothing. Yeah. Scrape the barrel. Go and get in, use everything you can, but then there's nothing left over. I think the part that, I'll come back to you in a second, but the part that a lot of people probably underestimate is when you buy a home, particularly first time, you probably are upgrading. So now the house feels bigger. So you need more furniture. And so often we'll go and see people go and get like a Harvey Norman, 60 months interest free because they've got no cash left over. I think when you're moving houses, there's removalist costs, setting up, going to IKEA or wherever you're going to buy your next set of furniture from Harvey Norman. So then you've got to outlay for all those costs. there's no money left over at that point
Mm-hmm.
to furnish your home as well.
Yeah, you don't want to be house poor. You just bought especially your first home, and I bought mine 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
You get the keys, you walk in, you go, this is mine.
Yeah.
I want to make it mine now too, especially if it's an established dwelling. You're like, okay, what can I do? What can I put my touch on? How can I put my touch onto this property? And if you've got no money and you're just now sitting there paycheck to paycheck paying the mortgage, it'll feel like you're handcuffed to this debt and not living in the home that you just, probably worked so hard to save up for.
Nicely said. Yeah, so we come back to yourself there, Stephanie. I think it's an open chat. I think the first key point there is actually working out what your monthly expenditure would be. So to work out how much do I need to have, okay, so if I'm running my business, I know that my fixed expenses are X per month.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm running my household, I know my expenses are X per month. So internet, utilities, insurances, groceries, gym memberships, whatever it's going to be to run you and your household, work out hours what it is per month, take it over 2-3 months, even just start with 1 month. I think that's probably when people hear 3 months, I think they throw their hands up in the air just going, that's way too much. We'll start with 1 month as a buffer, and then build it up to maybe 6 weeks, and then build up maybe 8 weeks, and then it'll snowball at that point as well. It comes to the next point, which when I did some research around this, you might already know the answer, but what is the number that people need? I'm talking to you, Damien.
Mm-hmm.
What is the number that you need in savings to feel like you've got some financial well-being?
I don't know this. Personally, I'll speak for my own self. I want to have, I feel like if I had $100,000 in the bank, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But to have that sitting there, it would weather any storm that could be thrown at me.
That would weather a few storms, actually.
2 job losses, anything, right? For me, personally, I'm like 100K. Give me 100K in an offset account and I'll just be comfortable. I'll be happy. Yeah. That's a lot of money, but it is what it is. That's what I'm aiming for.
Yep.
Yeah. What about you? Or what about the research?
Article? Yeah. So this is Vanguard that's done this research. It says 3K.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm killing it.
You're doing well.
I'm on the way to killing it. I'll feel like a billionaire soon.
So think about, I guess, the psychology of money here is if you had 3K in your bank account, Scott Pate would call it, what is a extinguisher? What does he call it? Emergency fund.
Oh, the fire extinguisher. Is that right? Yeah.
Sleep at night factor is another name for a bank account like that. A war chest is another, whatever you decide to call it.
$3,000.
Safety money. I know it's a bit light. It's a bit light. But that is a massive, and there's a really good AFR article, that is the biggest marker around financial security and well-being, which is having savings.
Most definitely. Yeah.
So having savings, and I think you and I were talking about it beforehand. I think Diary for CEO covered it when they said, is it Nisha or Misha? She's a really good YouTuber. And I think she said 30% of people in the UK do not have $1,000 or more savings to their name. That's nearly a third of the population. And so Australia wouldn't be far off. America's just a smidge above that as well. But like you said, that's a lot of people that are living paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't gel well for your state of mind, which is, hey, if I was to get my car broken down, if the hot water was to go, for example, it probably is the prevalence of your credit cards, your buy now, pay laters, for example. I feel like that's probably where those products really have a stronghold, which is it's a bit of a crutch. It's a bit of a safety net. Well,
if you correlate that to the renting population, it would probably be the people who are renting are the same people who have less than $1,000 in.
I see people with mortgages, and we're like, "Where's the savings?"
That's true.
They've been, that's true. Stuck in the mortgage, paid the mortgage down, but there's no actual. And it's probably why a lot of boomers are cash poor but asset rich.
Yep.
Like all the wealth is locked up in the family home or the property, but not actually in liquid cash.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're going to talk a little about liquid cash as well in terms of where Australia sits. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of people that sit flush with cash.
Not at all.
Let alone 3K in savings. So yeah, if that's something that you take out of this episode, and it's like, there's my goal, just to be better than a big chunk of the majority of the population. How do I get myself to 3K in savings, or how do I get myself to 5K in savings? and just sit on that feeling for a little while and see if you feel financially secure.
And this is like back to like my point of borrow a little bit more. Like if you are sitting there right now, you got a home with that equity and you're like, God, we're just paycheck to paycheck at the moment. Like there's no breathing room, there's no sleep at night factor. Just go and withdraw a bit of equity and put it in the offset account. Don't use it, but you know it's there. And it's literally just it's like a frame of just a mental like frame for life. Like just makes you feel a little bit more safer.
Yeah,
it's not your money, it's still debt, sure.
Yeah.
Just don't use it, but it will make you feel a little bit more secure. I really do believe in that.
No, yeah, I can tell you, there's been times where the bank account's been very dry.
Yeah.
Your headspace is very different to when there's an extra 0 or 2 in there. It feels a lot more safer then as well. So cool. This next article, I'm going to share the link in the notes. So this one takes a little bit more bandwidth in terms of reading, but UBS, a big global bank, they did a wealth report and it found that 1 in 10 Australians have become millionaires. And the big driver behind that is assets, i.e. property. And when you break down these numbers, let me walk you through that. Australia is now the second highest median, is now accounting for the second highest median wealth in the world at 411k AUD, beaten only by Luxembourg.
Fantastic. Well done, Australia.
It's crazy.
We don't feel rich, but
on paper,
we are.
Yeah. So the wealth definition here is financial assets plus real assets owned by households minus the debt. So if you take your and it includes super and private pension as well. So if you go, right, my value of my house less the debt, for example, and that's your wealth position, and that means 10% of Australians are 1.55 mil in the positive.
Like, yeah. That's amazing.
It says a lot. I mean, nationally, I think our LVR sits like 30 odd percent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone, says, Australia has such a large debt to income household wise. But then you look at a stat like that and you match it to the asset and you go, actually, it's not as bad as what everyone's saying.
Not everyone's walking out of mortgage stress.
Yeah.
Not everyone's walking out.
Wow.
And so when you take like the population, a third of the population, so those homeowners have their homes paid off.
Mm-hmm.
A third have mortgages and a third are renting. So there's stats that, when we go to conferences, there's the stats that kind of get wheeled around as well. But when you start to think about 7-figure net wealth, Australia ranks 8th with just over 1.9 people that have a 7-figure net wealth position. It's crazy.
Fantastic.
And Australia stands out for its real estate, which almost makes 53% of the country's personal wealth. So property, to me, when I hear, and occasionally I'll jump on social media, and it might be like one of these news.com.au articles or something to that effect where it talks about someone that's built a portfolio and the amount of comments and hatred that some people get about the property market or the banks owning all their property portfolio. I'm like, there's someone that's gone and taken some action for one, but also if they were to sell down their whole portfolio, they'd be left with a good amount of cash, profit left over.
And just to this, I mean, there's probably a lot of young people here listening going, I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I've got to take out $1 million debt just to buy an apartment. It probably had to wait to what's going to happen in the next couple, like 10 to 20 years with this, or 30 years with this massive wealth transfer. It is going to come down to people, right? It's going to be pretty incredible how it will impact the economy and impact society as it does transition in.
Transfer between, say, boomers.
Boomers to Gen Z, I think is what they're talking about, right? Which are two massive populations of people. So, I don't know. Like young people are probably sitting here going, I don't feel that wealthy. I'm not a millionaire, but when's it going to be my time? What can I do now? I think the only thing you can do is to join the ride, get into the market. The government's helping as much as they can to help people get in some way, shape or form. And it seems like the party's not going to end at anytime soon.
Do you know what I hear when I hear that?
Yeah.
Where my mind goes is, mate, we'll end up as New York.
Oh, you think? Yeah, we're just going to keep going up, the wealth distribution.
The wealth distribution will be like, there's people that are generation renters in New York.
Correct.
They'll never be able to buy a property, they live in New York, for example, that will happen. You look at the property boom in, say, Brisbane, right? That's like we're down the coast, Illawarra. I think that's what Illawarra had, that COVID, where it just ballooned.
40% increase.
I've lived here my whole life, and now suddenly I can't afford to buy in the area. I feel like markets like Brisbane and even Adelaide, for example, Perth, I think still very affordable. Income to house ratio is very good. But you look at those markets, like I thought I could live here in the suburb that I want, and they cannot. And I feel like they will go through a similar type of experience will happen here in the Illawarra and Wollongong area, where probably was shot up and locals were priced out. Happened, mid-north coast as well, for example. Southern Highlands, a great example. These are, Sydney, New South Wales type examples. Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, great examples. Mornington Peninsula, example there as well. So you look around, I was like, and then those areas, people are priced out, which means they have to rent. Once they're stuck on the rental treadmill, they cannot get off because property prices are outpacing their ability to save.
Yeah.
So they either move locations or they just start paying rent, and they've got to become rent investors, which is a great option. But if they don't rent invest,
then you're just renting.
Then they're renting. Yeah. There we go.
And then you've got these like areas where, what's that article that was in the paper about the Mosman lady?
Oh, yeah. She's blocking something.
$500,000 into a court case to stop density into the area. So you've got like housing supply being held by, I guess you'd say, the boomers, in certain areas like that, pushing prices up because there's no supply coming on. And then these same people are saying, you can't develop in our areas either. And young people are sitting here going, well, what are we supposed to do? You're right. I think it's a bit of a, we might turn into that type of, there's going to be the renters and the landlords, a little bit like that. I think the government's trying to do everything they can to stop that, Mate,
this horse is bolted. I'm going to be straight up. If you think the government's going to solve this problem,
they can't solve it from a supply issue.
Correct. They will not solve some supply. They can talk about maybe we'll try there's whispers around negative gearing being cut, which
all they can do is give. This is how I look at it. All they can do is make it easier for young Aussies to get more debt to get into the market.
I mean, you look at the first home owner grant from 1 January 2026, that opens itself right up
to 1.5. Yeah.
And it's not income tested.
Income cap removed.
Income capped.
Yeah.
Like 120K individual, 200K combined.
Yep.
We did so few of them because most of our first-time buyers actually had solid incomes that were above the cap. And I was like, why are they being penalised for earning good incomes? They actually need these incomes to buy in these markets.
And like $100,000 per person, like it's, above the average or median. But when you're looking in an area like Sydney, $100,000 gets you nowhere. Nah. It's incredible.
Well, 100K times 5, 500K borrowing capacity, not a lot in savings. So where are you going to be buying for sub 600?
Yeah.
Which is why generally they're going down the path of rent investing at that point, going, I could buy a freestanding home in an emerging growth market for sub 600 grand, and I can still keep renting in Sydney. I don't feel house poor that I've got this giant mortgage that I'm shackled to, and it can be a high growth asset, which then they get gearing benefits off the back of that as well. It's tick, tick, tick. I can actually understand why rent investing becomes a much more chosen approach, and I'll just flick away the first home buyer grants to go down the path of wealth building as well.
Definitely. If you're 25 and above or even younger, if you can get started as early as you can. Do not be held to the notion of buying an owner rock. Rent investing is fantastic.
If you're listening, I don't know, there's probably a number of clients that have got that are sub 30 that are starting out, just going, I feel like a bit like small fry because we've got some great clients. All those clients started somewhere.
Yeah.
And I wish I spoke to a wonderful couple the other day, 30, 31, who got mad plans to scale their portfolio over the next 10 years, and they're so dialed in. I said, mate, I wish when I started at 30, I had someone that I could lean on like this. I could think so big that could put a roadmap in place that gave you absolute clarity. I said, in 10 years' time, you then could choose to sell down your part of your portfolio, buy the dream owner rock, for example, because they're in great occupations. At that point, they can still have a few investment properties, great owner rock with a mad deposit that they've 10 years is compound on their investment properties. And then they can go again to keep investing. And just that their excitement off the back of that got me so excited, gave me an amp. I was like, man, let's rock and roll. And when I hear those stories, and anyone under 30, if someone's not taking you seriously as a broker, then it's like, hey, mate, it might be time just to keep knocking on a few more doors, i.e. ours, and see how we can help you scale a portfolio as well.
Yeah, so what we're saying is if the government can't help you, Attilia Wealth can.
There we go. I like that. We'll use that. Coming into super.
Interesting.
Listening, mate, I've been following this story just from a distance because I don't like the news baity, clickbaity stuff, but I think this is really, really important. Super fund collapse called First Guardian, Shield Master Group, and Australian fiduciaries. Now, to date, those losses are sitting at $1.2 billion, and that's impacting 12,000 Australians. Yeah. How this has happened is probably a completely different story. It's way above my pay grade. But when I was going through this, I was reading some of the stories about people that have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in super.
Mm-hmm.
That's heartbreaking stuff because these people have saved for their retirement and that's been snatched away from them. That's not fair. But then it goes, the process to follow is you then go to AFCA, so Australian
Financials
Complaints.
Yeah.
We should know this.
Yeah, we should know that one.
It's a good thing we don't know.
Yeah, because we never go.
We don't get complaints. But if you do complain about anyone in finance, you go to the effectively like an ombudsman, and they do an internal investigation, and they try to resolve that. But if you go to AFCA, the cap that they can give you back on your money is $150,000.
All right.
That's crazy. People have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they'll only be able to get back 150K. That ain't right. So I dare say that probably the government will get involved at this point because this is people's superannuation. But you then think about the injustice because the people probably that have run those organizations will probably have the money squirreled off somewhere and they'll be happy to live on. Obviously they'll get caught, but they don't have that same level of retribution that they should be paid to face up to as well. So I think what I'm trying to really go with this is, if you're not watching where your money's going or where it is and you're a little bit blind to it, how do you take back control?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and a lot of these people were blissfully unaware, and that's fair. The money's kept in super. They've dialed it in there. But I feel like this is probably why SMSFs have become a major focus at the moment. Like when we had Trump elected, when America had Trump elected, you saw share prices tumble, and so many people reached out. I'm sure you were probably the same. So many people reached out going, mate, I've lost so much in shares. I want to move into property.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
I just feel like a flight to security at that time. And it's funny because then the AFR read an article the other week about why it's bad to buy property through super as well. But then you run this article which is talking about the downfall of this super fund as well. So I think it's when I studied marketing law, it's caveat emptor, like buyer beware. Is the Latin word, but I think for anyone listening that just wants to scratch that itch around self-managed super funds, if you jump on Bernadette's on the YouTube, that Bernie did some really good interviews with PK Gupta, the guys at Oz Property as well, just talking about what's involved in setting up a self-managed super fund. There's a common misconception that 20% deposit. Look, it's not for everyone, but sometimes we can do it with a 10, 12, 15% deposit as well. So if you're trying to get in, and you really are focused and dialed into the property strategy, and an SMSF becomes a good vehicle or a good way to get in, hey, mate, think about it.
Mm-hmm, definitely. It's because we were talking about this before, and it's like when you're just having your super go into a fund, it's like you think you can't touch it, so no one thinks you can have control over it. I think that's the main sort of like ethos out there. Well, it's not really mine until I retire. So then you just let these fund managers invest. You trust them. Normally you with, well, God, you would probably say that these guys were reliable, right? Yeah. You'd say a lot of people were reliable. You don't even, I think I'm with Australian Super. They do their annual meeting once a year. I've never attended. I don't know what they're doing with the money.
You wouldn't know. So
I wouldn't have a clue.
Is it high growth? Is it medium, low growth? You probably wouldn't know.
I know it's high risk, but I don't know what that entails. I just remember Bernadette saying to me, "You're young, you can weather the storm." I went, "Okay." This was 8 years ago when I said it.
Yeah.
So yes, 8 years of okay. I guess this is
go back and read how it's performed.
It would be good, yeah. But that's my sister's advice, who's also not a financial planner, and I've just left it in the hands of these fund managers. So I think Australians have this like, I'm invested in shares through my super, but a lot of people don't really like share investing really in their personal name. So if you want to take control, get the SMSF. You don't always have to just be invested in the property through it. You can diversify through your SMSF.
Yeah.
Get a good financial planner. We're really trying to pull together like our financial planning, I guess, team, like people we can refer to.
Yeah.
I think that's a gap in the market at the moment from the red tape that were put under, when was it, like 2017, 2018. We're starting to see some newer mergers like sort of come through. But yeah, I think the SMSF is a great vehicle if you want to take control of that of your super. Definitely.
Yeah, so that's an itch you want to scratch. If you jump on our website, go onto the Calendly booking. There's a way to have a chat about SMSFs through there as well. So follow it. We might try to put a link into the YouTube comments
Definitely
as well.
Cool.
The last one I want to talk about is self-employed, and this comes off the back of ANZ introduced a new policy, which is we won't take into account, say, lines of credit in a business, they changed the way they assess a line of credit. And then I started reading about all the research where it said like 25% of all self-employed people said it was impossible to get a loan. And I was like, rubbish, because there's very few self-employed people that you and I would come across that were like, we couldn't find an outcome or a solution for them.
You've got more solutions.
Also,
it's fantastic if you're self-employed.
It's an unfair advantage if you're self-employed. It's an unfair advantage. And if someone is telling you it's hard because you're self-employed, hang up and give us a call. But I never plug for business like that, but I've got to call it out to say, then you've got to find an expert or a specialist in this area. And I think it really starts with the brief that you've given your accountant. Let's start there, because you've got two briefs that you can go to your accountant. I'll give you my example of the conversation. Ronald, I'm looking to buy more property this year. Cool. His conversation is then pay more tax, earn more, and then we can go and buy more. Great. Thank you very much. If I was telling Ronald, hey, look, I don't want to pay tax anymore, then he'd be looking to find ways to minimize my tax, show less taxable income. But surprise, surprise, I couldn't borrow much because my taxable income is low or lower as well. So understanding and having that conversation with your accountant, because I feel like they're competing priorities. Paying less tax and borrowing more, you effectively cannot have your cake and eat it too, unless you're happy to cop a higher interest rate, which I don't think is a bad thing, because if you're paying less tax but you're happy to pay a higher rate, the rate's temporary. And in fact, the rates are coming down. So what are you too worried about either?
Definitely. Yeah, it's always a conversation. It's always a conversation.
But people are self-employed. It's like this obsession with like paying less tax.
It's insane. They run all their personal expenses through the business, and it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like you need to pay tax for borrowing if you want to.
The difference is between someone salaried and someone self-employed is that you see the tax.
Yep.
That's the only difference.
Correct.
I've actually got to pay the tax. When you're salaried, when we're both being PAYG, I'm getting this net. I don't have any impact or bearing on the tax side. The government gets paid first for my employer. I get paid the rest. Whereas when you're a business, it's like the revenue is all mine. It's the revenue is absolutely not all yours.
Even you're paying tax for your employees, like you're paying the PAYG, so you feel like you're paying even more. It's interesting. I think it's definitely a case of when you've got people who want to, I guess when you're self-employed, you've got more control over what you can do, which is the beauty of it. I'm newly self-employed 1 year. So the way I view my situation, there are years when I'll minimize tax. There are years that I don't want to borrow. So in an acquisition phase, and the other good thing with when you're self-employed, you got tax returns. They're valid for like 12 to 24 months. A pay slip is valid for 6 weeks, 4 to 8 weeks maybe. So you've got these tax returns where you lodge and you pay your tax, and you can use that for 22 months with one lender, all the way up to really the next financial year. So you pay your tax in one lump. You do your acquisition phase with those tax returns. You go back to a tax minimization strategy. You then go back to pay your tax, and you might buy some more property. It just takes more planning. It takes a good accountant and a good broker working hand in hand. What are we doing this year? What's the plan? Like, what's the 10-year plan? How do we want to keep buying? The other benefit is, like, even if you have this opportunity, like sometimes your property goes up in value and you're like, actually, there's equity here randomly. And you go, actually, I want to get it, but I didn't pay too much tax. My profit's not as high as I need it to be. Accountant's letter. BAS, like low doc
Yeah,
methods of
it's correct. Yeah, I
verification.
think- and the low doc, because accountants don't want to write these letters.
Correct.
Put it on the table here. Accountants have been told by their industry bodies and associations, do not write letters for clients around how much they earn. That's cool. I think that's fair play. There are some specific lenders that will give an accountant's letter that says the clients can make these repayments. I think that's a very good alternative if you want to play in that absolute space. And you're not getting murdered on rate, for example. Yeah. To be very, very clear. I think these are misconceptions. The accountants are signing over their licenses or their life in blood around how much they're going to take the fall for the client. Not true. I'm going to get murdered on rates and fees. Not true. There's only a handful of lenders and they're sketchy. Not true. Yeah. So I think the pendulum has swung so far from like the banks being not self-employed friendly to the banks have become so self-employed friendly. People think they're almost too good to be true.
Definitely.
When you think about it, if you're paying yourself consistently for 6 months and we can provide the payslip evidence for 6 months of consistent salary, the banks won't even look at your financials. They'll treat you like you're salaried.
Yeah, effectively full-time.
When we go back years ago, that was never a thing.
It still blows my mind that that's a policy right now.
I could pay myself consistently for my business and the bank won't even ask for my company financials.
So put this into perspective. July 1, you start paying yourself $100,000. By 31st of December, you've paid yourself 50 of that and 100.
Yep.
The bank will then annualize that 50 and you can now borrow with $100,000 of income in your serviceability calculator.
Well explained.
Fantastic. What a policy.
What a policy. What about when banks go, we're not going to include company debts?
Great.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Right? So if your business has got finance in place for, I don't know, you did an acquisition or you got a property or whatever it is in the company, you got loans in that company, the bank will say, some banks will say we don't include company debts as part of your liabilities. That's incredible.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
So when I think about how open for business a lot of banks are that are self-employed, I'm talking the big four, I'm talking your Bankwest, Macquarie's, ING. When you talk about self-employed friendly lenders, I'm like, why are more self-employed people not jumping in, investing, buying houses, for example, and they're slogging away? I think you and I were having a chat the other day, my brutal comment to that was, I just don't think some businesses are actually earning enough.
Correct.
They're actually not real businesses. They're probably solo operators, dabbling a little bit, sole traders that are just not kind of reaching their full potential, and that probably may sting a little bit. And I'm sorry if that does. I'm not trying to offend anyone by that, but I just think if you want to be taken seriously as a self-employed person, you've got to increase your revenue. You've got to minimize your costs, eke out profit, and get strong income to come out, because so many of those self-employed clients that we see aren't paying themselves super.
Mm-hmm.
They're not investing in property. So they're actually missing out on assets that are compounding in the background because they're so heavily focused on sweat equity in their business. And that's great. We've all been in startup phase, but at some point the tide has to turn, that you go from that startup phase to now you are a self-employed, legitimate business that can pay yourself what the market would pay you if you were to be employed in that role by any other organization. So have a think about that as well. But most importantly, what I'm trying to say is have a chat with your accountant to go, how do we structure my income? That, yeah, we should. We all don't want to pay more tax, but how can it be tax efficient or tax effective as well? Yeah.
And accountants are also, a good accountant will give you really good advice on business structure as well.
Big time.
Like Ron, I don't know, we share accountants obviously, but they'll come in high level and go, okay, cool, this is what you need to work on.
Yeah. They'll speak another language.
Yeah. They'll say some things and you'll need to Google them afterwards. But the gist of it, they'll be like, all right, you're too heavy on staff.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't get the profit or whatever it might be. Yeah. A good accountant should be directing you with your business, especially if you're self-employed. If you're just doing your tax returns for, PAYG, so be it, H&R Block, whatever it is. But if you are self-employed, you've got your own business, you need your accountant to buy in, not just to lodge returns, but to support you throughout the year and give you that guidance along with your broker so you can get out of just being a business owner and be a property owner as well.
Nicely said. Listeners, we covered a lot of turf today, and like I said, we've covered savings, we've covered super, we've covered credit cards. If there's something along the journey, I say for a lot of couples that come to us as well, if you're much further along the journey than your partner, then you've got to bring your partner on the journey at some point with you. So if there's a part in the episode that you feel maybe resonates, It's not a, hey, listen to this and a point a finger at your partner, for example. It's a, hey, would this be helpful to you? Hey, check this one out, for example, and gently introduce them to, say, a concept that you're trying to get them to get their head around. Absolutely share the episodes with people in your circle. We love it. Love it. If you're looking to build out your portfolio and you really want clarity around your roadmap, reach out to us. We do loan strategies for a lot of our clients, which is, hey, here's where you are. So what we do is effectively revalue your properties, work out how much equity is, portfolio review, and then we do that roadmap, which is effectively how many properties could you start to acquire, trust, not trust, SMSFs, individual names. We start to then pack that with a lot more detail for you there. So I just think the rate cut today is going to absolutely light a fire in this market. I just think, mate, where we'll be probably doing our end of year wrap up is, mate, this spring season is gone absolutely bananas. That's my pick. I think spring will be an absolute bananas quarter for property heading into the Christmas period.
It seems to be where the rate cut, which helps with borrowing. Listings are down.
Listings are massively down.
Yeah. Listings are down. More first home buyer incentives coming out as well, which again, a bigger. And this is Gen Z. Like, this is the largest population cohort now, right?
Yeah.
Now they're getting into the market with these benefits. Yeah, I think they're predicting the market to keep going up this year, next year, and it's just by how much. Yeah.
Get excited.
Yeah.
And if you need a team manager excited, our team would love to help, whether it's financing, whether it's reviewing what you currently have as well. Like I said, this podcast has never been about farming or fishing for business, but genuinely just helping more people and getting this ripple effect bigger. So we have people in Australia with high performance property portfolios. That's the name of the game. Thank you very much for lending your ears and your time. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.